Shalom, Israel. First, I'm going to start by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kadash. And that's the true name of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, whom the world ignorantly calls God, in Jesus Christ, and Bahashem, in the name of the Racha Kodash, which is the Spirit Holy. Okay. Double honors into the elders, apostles, and bishops, a GMS great millstone who rule well, teach, and edify. And peace and blessings to you, Akim and Akwath. Akim meaning brothers, Akwath meaning sisters in this household of faith. My name is Yeshaya from the GMS Arizona Church, Ottawa, Ratazah, Lord's Will. Gonna make an edifying video going into this thing that I seen here earlier today, leaving the gym. You got JC 2024, our only hope. And, this is a representation, of the spirit that's out there. Because if you're peeping, a lot of those moggers, those Neuro Trump supporters, are they're quieting the fuck down. Okay, they're getting real quiet. Though those Edomites that were wearing those hats and prancing around like Trump Nero, was the next fucking savior for this whole place. People calling him like a godsend and calling him like the Messiah and shit like that. All those motherfucking dumbass Edomites are pretty quiet nowadays. Okay, and why is that? Okay, because this place is getting revealed for what it is. The prophets are bringing out what it is, and guess what? Prophets have been bringing it out, and all this stuff is coming true, and people are starting to see that it's coming true. They're starting to see the agendas that they're pushing, and they're starting to see that it's all bullshit, that they don't care about the common people. You got the rich, the elite banking families at the top of the food chain that control the whole prerogative of this thing because they want to set themselves up as the Most High. And within that, they don't care about the common people. These fucking people, even these low-level Edomites, they don't give a shit about. And on top of that, too, they're trying to suppress you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans here in Babylon the Great because they know that you're the true people of this Bible, okay? And for as long as you're held down, then you can't, come up. Pursuing the Judith 5 and 20 through 21, it's like when the nation is doing good and following Yahweh Shem Yahushai and in the spirit and doing what the Lord requests, no nation can stand against the nation of Israel, all right? No nation can stand against the nation of Israel. But right now, because of our iniquity, we've been set up in this bullshit-ass place, pursuing a Baruch, the 4th chapter, in the 6th verse. But there's also plenty of other verses that show you why we're in this, state that we're in. Reading through the book of Judges, Jake's going and being brought back to the, truth, being brought back to Yahweh Shem Yahushai and then falling away. And then brought back, and then, Jake is a backsliding nation. All right, but even you low-level Edomites are starting to see the fucking, the reality of Babylon the Great. Babylon meaning confusion, and which is America. Okay, America is Babylon the Great, spiritually. Okay, but JC 2024 are only hope, right? So that puts in that message out there that they have no good options, right? They understand, because this was back in the presidential election of slow Biden, Neuro Trump, and Kamala Harris's black ass. Right, you got all these 3 candidates, and they're all jackasses because at the end of the day, they're set up. They're set up, okay? They're set up. But let's see. Going into Isaiah the 47th chapter, got it pulled up here. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." And that is so true because at the end of the day, this place is getting called out for what the fuck it is. It's no longer being called tender and delicate. It's no longer being called that virgin, that untouched, clean virgin. The American dream is fucking dead. I saw things that, I got, there's all different types of numbers, but they're saying, actually, let me just throw it into the chat. Just throw it into the chat. How much does the American dream cost now? Lord willing, it pulls up quick. It says, depends on what you mean. About $5 million in lifetime costs. $5 million in lifetime costs. So let's just say something like this. If I make $100,000 a year, how long would I have to work to achieve this? Okay, so this is a best case scenario. So this is a six-figure salary. Okay, this is a six-figure salary to make your ends meet for the American dream. Whereas once houses used to cost less than cars, and cars used to cost about as much as a fucking generator. And I wasn't alive personally to attest, but there's plenty of things that show you the costs and the how much better Babylon the Great was back in the day when the crime rates were lower, right? And when things were easier and more livable. My parents always talk about the 90s like it was the age to be in, the golden age. Okay, and Babylon has been on a constant decline economically for the last 10 years. They're not nearly as good as they used to be. Nowadays, you go to the store, you see a chocolate bar, it's fucking $5. A pack of 35-piece gum is like almost $8. What kind of shit is that? But anyways, it takes 50 years to achieve this, to have that American dream at a six-figure salary. And how many of you Jakes are able to make a six-figure salary, especially when you're born in the hoods, the reservations, and the barrios, when college in certain, aspects of life like that isn't even, available to you? Niggas either, like the Biggie song, you either, I think it's something that goes along the lines of like shoot rocks or make jump shots, something like that. You don't have that fucking option. All right, we're a nation that's laden with these curses, and that's why we know that we're the Israelites, because pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, cursed I be in the city, cursed I be in the field. There's so many things, all of it ties to the true modern day Israelites. You don't see any other nation dealing with that type of shit here. You don't see none of them, okay? They always talk about all these bad things that happen to all these different, even Amalek. But at the end of the day, bro, they don't even talk about the fact that during the transatlantic slave trade, 2 million people died. 2 million just from the fucking shipments, man. And that's a rough estimate. That's a real rough estimate, because we know fucking Esau's bitch ass always likes to change up the numbers on things, because this is the fucking devil that we're dealing with. But Isaiah 47:2 says, take the millstone and grind the mill, uncover the locks and make bare the leg, uncover the thigh and pass over the rivers. And that's what the prophets are doing. They're revealing what this devil is. Okay, and it's getting to the point where they can't fucking hide it no more. The evidence is there, and the Lord is bringing the prophecies there. Okay, the Lord is putting the spirit out there for that to be seen. All right, everyone understands the times that we're in. Even these wacky-tacky Christians are starting to see like, oh shit, things are tipping. But it says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen, and I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. And who is that? That's the Lord Yahweh Shai. He's going to come back with great fire. He's going to come back, and let's just real quick get Isaiah 66:15, just real quick. Isaiah 66 and verse 15, it says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger and fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. The Lord's going to come back with a great fire. He's going to come back with his chariots, which are also going to be lighting shit up, as well as, these ICBMs. All right, that's a part of that third woe. We're waiting for some of these prophecies to take off, and a part of that is that next world war. Revelations, I believe it's the 11th chapter and the 14th verse, talk about that second woe pass and the third woe cometh quickly, and that's what's happening. And people are actually fucking seeing that. People are seeing what Trump is doing on an international level. They see what the fuck the choices that they're making. They see that they got hunger and they got drug problems and they got fucking homelessness all over this country, but they're sending $250 billion to Israel to go do their fucking thing. And that's the fucking, shit that they see. That's the thing that these modern Edomites see, and they're like, what are they doing? They're like, what could they possibly be thinking here? Okay? And straight up, the scriptures talk about the king's heart as being in the hand of the Lord. So ultimately, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has it set up for them to do these type of things. Okay, all these places are going to start looking at this whore, for what it is. But Ecclesiastes 12, and I'm going to go start at the verse 3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. So breaking that down, it says the keepers of the house shall tremble. And who is Esau's keepers? Who's Esau's prophets? That's a lot of these world economists. It's a lot of these scientists and a lot of these, chiefly those economists, the people that tell them, the right moves and tell them where the money is at and tell them, what they're capable of doing. Okay. Even then, like, they're militia, all of that's surrounded by science and money. That's their fucking keepers, and they're trembling because at the end of the day, bro, fucking America doesn't have that power anymore. Their global GDP dropped under the nation of BRICS. So the BRICS has the majority um, they now have more money really than the United States, because their gross GDP is higher. The BRICS nations is higher than the United States, whereas the United States used to be higher than theirs. Okay, and even then, China has been taking over things in the last 10 years because the United States doesn't offer shit. What does the United States truly have to offer? All right, this is a constant import country. They get more shit than they're able to offer out. They just buy, and this over consumerism is a fact, because now, even going into mortgages, they build houses like they're fucking McDonald's is. There's just houses everywhere. Okay, and people are signing these mortgages. That word mortgage going into, I think it's like somewhere around mort, which where you go and it's basically going into death. Like, you're gonna die with that fucking loan. Okay, this over consumerism society where you have Starbucks on every corner, you got everything to fucking buy up in the mall, you got these overpriced ass fucking vehicles that do nothing besides impress a bunch of people you don't fucking like, and people are starting to see the bullshit that this place is. Okay, and it says the grinders cease, because work is going down too. Unemployment is increasing, and available jobs are decreasing. It's harder to get a fucking job nowadays because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So there's no more fucking vision in this place. People can't fucking see it. They don't see the future in here. And anybody in any, these fucking Edomites and these heathens, anyone with a fucking brain between their two ears will get the fuck out of here. Straight up. And even in Jeremiah, they're going to go back to their fucking lands that they came from. Right? Because shit's going to get so bad here that they can't stick around. Okay? It's going to be like, okay, yeah, it's time to get the fuck out of here. Okay? Because from here, things are only going to get worse. Even the apostles say that. Chiefly, I remember the Apostle Gabar saying this, from which I personally have heard him say that. He said, if it wasn't for this ministry, it wasn't for this truth, he wouldn't live here. Because why the fuck would you want to live here? Everything top to bottom is wicked here. Even the men are weak and fucking wicked as shit. The women are fucking adulterous as hell and ain't shit. Aisha Curry bitches, and even these badass fucking children, bro. Always fucking doing what they're on. Like, you see children in crop tops and booty shorts, and that's because the fucking parents allow that shit, man. And this is the nation that we live in. This is no longer the place to be. The bottom line is, and that's why, really I wanted to make this video, because disenchant yourself with this place. Don't love this fucking place, because look at this, man. Even the fucking people see it. JC is our only hope. All right, and at the end of the day, they ain't gonna do shit for you. All right, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is gonna save his elect. All right, if you call on JC in the day, all right, you gonna catch a fucking bomb, straight up. All right, because that's Baal. Okay, that's not Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's not the true Messiah. All right, that's whom the world ignorantly calls the Messiah. Okay, in their confusion. Okay. So Ezekiel 12:22, it says, Son of man, what is that proverb you have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged and every vision faileth? Tell them therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. Because a lot of people say, like, oh, it hasn't happened in my lifetime. Like the older generation, like, the Lord hasn't come back in my lifetime. There's no way, he hasn't come back in my parents' lifetime or their parents' lifetime. So they think, they have time to tarry around. Some of them have that. Here, let me get a precept for that, actually, as a matter of fact. 2 Timothy 3 and verse 5. Let's see. And also in the Old Testament, the scripture talks about these, Israel not being valiant, or valiant going to stand by the truth. They're not valiant unto the truth. They don't stand by it because they don't really have faith and fear, chiefly fear in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They think that it's not possible. But 2 Timothy 3 and verse 5 is having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, for such turn away. So having a form of godliness, what do a lot of these people have? A zeal not according to knowledge, but denying the power thereof. Okay, so going back to here, says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will make this proverb cease. Oh, Salakia. Verse 22, Salakia meaning, I'm sorry. Says, what is this proverb that you have in the land of Israel, saying that the days are prolonged and every vision faileth? So that's what, ultimately these jakes is saying. Israel's saying that the days are prolonged and every vision faileth. So it's like basically mocking, like, oh, nothing's coming to fruition like you say you were. It says, tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord. And that goes into that spirit so like you're kind of backtracking, but that goes into the spirit of, how people say it's not in my lifetime. All right, it's undoubtedly in this lifetime. We are in the last milliseconds of Esau's rulership. Okay, one day unto the Lord is like 1,000 years. So the Lord being gone for 2,000 years is 2 days unto him. Okay, so at the end, so this is Bible prophecy. This is what the scriptures say, and the Lord is beginning to visit this earth. All right, you see shit like earthquakes, and you see chariot sightings more often, and you see wickedness growing, and you see these prophecies coming true. They can no longer say that proverb. That older generation can't no longer say, "Oh, it won't happen in my lifetime." Yeah, it will. Okay, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is coming very soon. All right, things gonna start popping off by the end of this year. Early next year, things are going to, really start, coming to fruition. It's a snowball effect. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can, until it's like, wow, okay, like, where did you come from? And that's why the scriptures tell you in Romans the 13th chapter and 11 verses is arise those that sleep, for the, for our salvation is nearer than we expected, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. So yes, this is going to happen in our lifetime. And even them, those Edomites are able to see it. They're able to see it. These even you Jakes are somewhat able to see it, but you're not willing to stand by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and that's ultimately why all of you are going to get hit with that RFID micro C-HIP, which is the MOTB, pursuant to Revelation 13 chapter, going into free bond, rich and poor. They have a prerogative or a disposition to get everybody C-HIPed, all right, including the elect, but they're not going to be able to C-HIP the elect. All right, the Lord's going to be standing by them. You got Deuteronomy, Salakia, Daniel 12:1. You have Michael the archangel standing by the elect in that time. Okay, but let's see. It says the days are prolonged, every vision fail, and people are starting to lose their fucking sight, even in Babylon too. Kind of using this example. The prophets are bringing it out now, like, hey, Babylon's done. All right, this place is fucking cruised. All right, you want to build up here? It's like filling a house, a burning house. It says, tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. But say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision. For there shall be no more any vain vision, nor flattering divination within the house of Israel. So it's like, it's happening. Right? It's happening. Stuff's going to kick off. And the people fucking see it. These heathens fucking see it. The whole world is able to see it. Okay? This truth shall go to the four corners of the earth, and then the end shall come. All right? These Christian pastors, these wacky-tacky Christian pastors, are ultimately learning from the apostles. They're learning from these videos. They're they're starting to bring out scriptures. They've been doing that. Bringing out scriptures that they never even went into before. All right? These seminary schools only, these cemetery schools really teach you only a certain doctrine. Okay, but when you got people starting to ask questions, they got to start figuring out how to answer them. And where do they do that? They go to the source. They go to the word truth, to where the real truth is, which is the prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Those that have the 100% truth chiefly, which is GMS, beginning with the elder apostles of Horah on down, which have the 100% truth, the sound doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which is given unto us through Bahashem Rakakwadash, through the Lord. But I pray this lesson was edifying. I hope I was able to, get the point across. That the vision's failing for this place. The people see that the vision's failing, and this place is no more to be loved. Okay, but yeah, want to lastly give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom.